Alright, I'm Van and I did my presentation on the effects of gun control in the United States of America. Alright, next slide we'll be talking about the gun control and the 18th United States Code 922D. Gun control is the setting of laws that regulate all categories that have to do with guns, from selling, buying, manufacturing, types or models, magazine capacity, etc. Under the 18 United States Code 922D, it lists 9 types of people that cannot possess or purchase firearms. First is anyone that has been indicted or convicted in court, crime, punishable imprisonment exceeding terms of 1 year, fugitive from justice, someone that didn't show up for court or they're running, on the run, unlawful users or addicts of any controlled substance like drugs. Next one is anyone that has a mental defect or has been committed to any mental institution. The fifth is anyone who is an alien, someone that has entered the U.S. illegally. The sixth one is anyone that has been discharged from the armed forces under dishonorable conditions. Seventh is anyone in the United States that has renounced their citizenship. 8, anyone that is under a court order of restraint. The ninth is anyone that has been convicted in any court of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. I got a quote by Hillary Clinton after the Charleston shooting at the church. She said it made no sense that Congress had failed to pass common sense gun control, such as universal background checks. What defines a common sense gun control? Who gets to decide what common sense gun control is? NRA commentator Colin Noor tweeted, "Say we pass common sense gun laws. When nothing changes, what do we do next? Pass more common sense gun laws." Alright, next slide is on universal background checks. Dylan Roof, who attacked the churchgoers in Charleston, admitted to police when he was previously arrested that he was a meth user. This would have denied him the right to purchase or possess a firearm under the United States Code. The Federal Bureau failed to properly enter this information into their databases. This showed a key limitation to background checks, periodic order or error. Humans are not perfect, and there will always be errors that happen pertaining to background checks and gun laws. Adding more would just increase to the error. As ISIS or Islamist extremists radicalize more people to fight the holy war, whether American citizens or not, this shows the limitations of background checks. The FBI cannot keep track of every person who leaves the country because they have a Middle Eastern name. Even if they do, many of these people have a plan to commit a brutal crime and will go to any lengths to accomplish their plan. Background checks cannot, and will never stop people who are dangerous and have fallen through the cracks of the system and have no records of disqualifying them from purchasing a firearm. Alright, next slide we'll be talking about high-capacity magazine bans. 8 states in the U.S. have passed laws to ban high-capacity magazines. California, for example, passed a law that handguns cannot hold more than 10 rounds. Who gets to decide how many rounds you are going to need to stop an active shooter or multiple hostiles? Typically, a handgun will carry anywhere from 6 rounds in a revolver to 15 plus 1 in the chamber in a Glock 19. AR-15s or other sporting rifles magazines will standardly hold anywhere from 10 to 30 rounds. One combined magazines or drums for both a handgun or sporting rifle that can hold 30 to 100 rounds. Hunters that use sporting rifles need to have high-capacity magazines for pest control and self-protection, especially if you're hunting down south by the border in Texas and Arizona along Mexico. You could run into some trouble. Handgun carriers need to not be limited on the number of rounds they're legally allowed to carry. Studies will never be able to prove that in every situation to protect your life or others, you will need exactly this many rounds to stop an aggressor or multiple aggressors. For example, you have 4 robbers in your house. With you and your family, and your magazine only holds 10 rounds. You incapacitate the first 3 with 3 rounds each. The 4th, you only stun him with the 10th round. Now you have to reload a magazine while the 4th person is coming after you. If you have the proper training, you could get the next magazine in and maybe incapacitate the last threat. If not, your life could end right there just because your state decided to you only need 10 rounds of magazine for protection. It is unconstitutional to tell someone how they should be able to protect themselves and others. Alright, next slide, we'll be talking about assault weapons ban. Assault weapons are typically categorized by uneducated gun people that think AR-15 like sport rifles are killing machines. Assault rifles are often confused with automatic rifles or machine guns, as most people call them. They are assumed assault by categorizing them by looks, names, and grips in the wrong place. Most guns labeled assault weapons are semi-automatic, just like most of your standard handguns, shotguns, and hunting rifles. Machine guns have been very heavily regulated since the National Firearm Act of 1934. Anyone who wishes to purchase a machine gun has to go through a very lengthy background check and lastly be approved by local law enforcement. Since 1986, nobody can manufacture new automatic firearms for the sale to the common person unless you're selling it to law enforcement. Even if you get past the lengthy background check, you'd be looking around $10,000 plus. The most popular semi-automatic guns in America are the Colt 1911, the Ruger 22, Remington shotgun, and the AR-15. Just because a gun has a particular name, barrel cover, stock, pistol grip, or anything else uneducated gun people find scary, it doesn't mean it's a killing machine. Here's a quote from Coble economist John Lote examined data for the 5 states with assault weapons ban in his 2003 book, The Bias Against Guns. Controlling for sociological variables, testing the 5 states with bans against the other 45 states, he found no evidence of reduction in crime. To the contrary, the bans were associated with increases in crime in some categories. Alright, next slide we'll be talking about when a new law is passed, what do criminals do? Criminals are people who have committed a crime. A crime is the doing of some wrong act that is punishable law. Theoretically, everyone at one point in their life has broken a law. The most common that you see on a day-to-day basis is breaking the speed limit. Criminals disregard current laws that are already in place to commit a crime. They already disregard laws that are in place that are supposed to keep society safe, so why would some people think the solution to that is making more laws that they will not even think twice about breaking. New laws will only affect people that are law-abiding citizens. Robbers in America are scared to rob a house with people inside because they have the chance of getting shot. Criminals pick on easy-to-prey targets because they know it will be easier to commit a crime. A gun in the hands of the right person is more likely to end a robbery in progress or a shooting before it becomes another incident where innocent people die. To conclude, in America it is our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, and it shall not be infringed. It was put in place to allow the citizens of America to protect themselves and from a tyrannical government. More gun control will only hurt the law-abiding citizens and not criminals. Chicago has very strict gun laws, and murders happen at outrageous numbers. This country needs to address the mental health issue rather than blaming an object. If we were to blame objects for killing, then spoons and forks should be next for causing obesity and heart disease associated with it. Heart disease being the #1 killer in the United States. Last point, guns in the hands of the good guys to stop crime is the best way to fight against gun control and crime.